Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Tegan talking about depressing stuff. Tegan all depressed, more like Tegan depressed. Yep, that was not good. Anyway, on that note, today I am going to be talking about the grieving process and what I've learnt about grief and what your grieving friend wants you to know about grief. So yeah, I think what got me starting to think about this was one of my really good friends said to me, this was actually before Mum died, so just after Dad died, she said, Tegan, like, how do I most support you? Like, what do you want from me? And I know that that's something that a lot of my friends and family struggle with. Like, they just, when you care about someone and you love someone, all you want to do is make things better for them. And when you can't, they just want, everyone just wants to, give more and do more just to help. And so, yeah, I guess I'm going to talk about what I've learned about grief. And yeah, just kind of maybe share some tips, because grief is something that we're all going to have to deal with in our lifetime. But there's not a lot of teaching about it, which I think is necessary because it's such a big part of life. Not even just, this is the first thing that I've learned, is that grief is not just related to death. So you can have non-death grieving. Say you're grieving for a promotion that you wanted at work but you didn't get, or you're grieving for the childhood house that you had to move out of because your parents are, going somewhere. All those kind of stuff that you still feel that sense of real loss and hurt. That's still grieving. And yeah, it's good to know that, not good to know, but we're all gonna be dealing with grief at some point. I unfortunately am best friends with grief, and I'm way too young to know all this stuff or to have experienced this stuff. But if I can use my experience and turn it into a positive, then I know that both my parents would be super proud of that. But yeah, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, I guess I should get you up to speed. Basically, my dad died 3 days before my 18th birthday in 2017, February 2017, after a 9-month battle with cancer. And then my mum, who was my best friend in the whole wide world, died suddenly 13 months later in March of last year. So yeah, as a result of that, I have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm on a ton of medication, super fun, but yeah, I have had this roller coaster of a ride, but there are some things I've learned. So yeah, I guess the first thing that I've learned about grief is that it is so individual, as individual as we all are. But no, seriously, there is no, this is such a cliche, but out of all the counseling and of all the things that I've done, there is no right or wrong way to grieve. And the biggest thing about that is not judging somebody on the way that they grieve or process. For instance, if somebody can't stop crying, they're not an attention seeker, or they're not weak, they're just grieving, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whereas if you're like me and you just kind of shut it down, put it in a box away, I mean, it's not a great way of grieving, but it's still not wrong per se. And that's something I've had to drill into my head over and over, is that even though it doesn't feel normal, the way that I'm feeling and the way that I'm grieving is normal. Well, there is no normal kind of thing. So yeah, there is no right or wrong way to grieve, but one thing that I have realized is that the only way that you're grieving is wrong is if it is hurting you or if it's hurting the people around you. So if you are acting out, I mean, anger is a perfectly normal, perfectly fine way, but if you are being violent, like, that's not okay. That's not all good, and you can't justify that by saying I'm grieving. That's just an unhealthy way of externalizing that anger. That's not good. So yeah, like, if you are hurting yourself, maybe physically, I know I've dealt with like self-harm before. That's not okay. That's not all good. That's wrong. Don't do that. But yeah, so that's the only way that grief can be wrong. Then another big thing about grief is that it goes on so much longer than everybody expects it to. I remember after Dad died, I started going to my first grief group, and that was, at uni. And we talked about how there are other people, so like everyone that comes to the funeral and stuff, it's a big shock when somebody dies, and they feel it for maybe like a week, and then they kind of get back to their life, go back to their family, and not forget about the person that died, but they just move on, which is fine. Whereas the people that are close to that person feel it for a really, really long time. And that's something I really struggle with, is that the support and stuff that I get and that people get that first, month or so after somebody dies is fantastic. Like, it's absolutely unreal. It's the only way I'd be able to get through it. But the support shouldn't stop. I think it changes. But yeah, one thing that I really benefit from is when my friends, who maybe I don't even live with or live in the same city as, when they check up on me like months and months down the road, because the grief process is, it's like I said before, it's like my best friend. And that journey doesn't stop, ever. It won't ever. No matter who you've lost or no matter what you're grieving for, you're always gonna have that with you, no matter if it's your parents, if it's a partner, a child, a brother or sister, like an auntie, an uncle, a cousin. You're gonna feel that pain for the rest of your life. And that's something that people don't realize, is that as somebody who has lost somebody, and I know that other people just like benefit from this, is just like a message saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hope you're doing okay. Or just stuff like that. Just being checked up on down the road really helps. Especially the anniversaries and stuff. Like, I have friends that'll message me. I won't hear from them from a while, which is fine because that's life, But then on stuff like Mother's Day or my birthday, or like my mum's birthday or my dad's birthday, they'll message me and say, hey, I'm thinking of you today. And just that kind of stuff actually makes a world of difference. So yeah, if you're wondering what you can do for your friend who has lost someone, take notice of those days, because also it can change the mood, it can change the way that your friend is leading up to that. So I know that February and March are really awful for me, because that was when Dad died and when my birthday is, and then Mum now in March. So I'm kind of off kilter for that whole month. And so yeah, it's just like, if you notice that kind of stuff in your friend, just be there for them. The thing is, I can't speak for everyone that's lost someone. I can only really speak for myself. But I know that there are a lot of people who relate to me, and I think I can speak for, that say, like, even just a message or like a, hey, you should catch up, and then not pressuring them to talk about it, but just being there, being present. That's the biggest thing, is like, you can help your friend by just being present and just being there to like offer the support. It just makes a really big difference. Another thing I've learned about, I could honestly talk about this all day. This is getting really long, but I think if you're gonna take one thing away from this video, I think it's just that there is no right way to grieve and there is no wrong way to grieve, and you've got to give yourself slack. Like, I know that I've put a lot of pressure on myself because, like, it doesn't feel real that my mum died. I still, like, saying those words out loud, I kind of feel nothing, and I pressured myself for a really long time to, you know, like, accept that, and I can't force myself to accept it. I just have to kind of invite it. I don't know, set up precautions so that when it does finally hit, and it will, I have precautions like around me that'll keep me safe, and that I know that I'll bounce back from. But yeah, I think, a really big thing is that you are so much stronger than you think you are. So I have this mentality that, oh my gosh, when it feels real, I'm going to break and I'm going to turn into somebody that is a shell of who I was, you know, all that kind of stuff. But that's so not true. Like, okay, yeah, shit's going to hit the fan, and I probably will be a mess for a while, but I'm going to come back, and you're always going to bounce back. That was a bit of a reference. Anyway, but yeah, I guess this was a bit of a weird video, just me kind of spilling my guts about grief. But yeah, if you have any questions or you want to chat to me about ways you can help your friends and stuff, yeah, like I say in all my videos, just hit me up, because I always want to talk about it. And yeah, like I've said before, I just want to help people. So yeah, again, thank you for your support and your love. Yeah, we out here doing good, bro. We're just doing good. So yeah.